day, Sister Gabrielle's brother came by the hotel to drive us to Cuernavaca. And thank God we had an address and knew where we were going, because before that we didn't know where we were going to live. There were many things that we didn't know about a foreign country. When the telephone would ring, Sister Margaret Mary knew a little bit of Spanish because she knew some Italian and she had studied Spanish in college. So she would answer the phone, and then she would listen, and then she'd start laughing because she couldn't understand a thing that the person was saying. And then she'd hand the phone to me and say, "You try." And I said, "I don't know a word." And so I'd listen. She said, "I think I'm hearing numbers." And so I'd listen and I'd say, "Well, it does sound a little bit like numbers." And then we just hang up. When Mrs. Audrey came back from New York, she came to visit us. And we told her about the telephone calls we were getting. And she said, "Oh," she said, "I know what that is." She said, "It's the telephone company calling to give you the bill. They do it by telephone, not by mail." And I said, "Well, I don't know what's going to happen." I said, "Every month this is going to happen, that we don't know what our bill is, you know?" I forgot to mention that the second day we were in Cuernavaca, 19 mothers came to register their students. And we couldn't imagine how they even knew we were there. We were only there for 24 hours, and they were already coming to register. So we already knew that we had 19 students registered and that we didn't have to worry about getting students. And we had two different real estate agents take us around, and they showed us different places where we could have the school, but only one was really big enough for us not to have to move the following year.
We rented a house, and we tried to get a big house with a big yard so they could have a playground area, and opened the first Marymount there.
On December the 8th, which was the 50th anniversary of the first Marymount in Tarrytown, New York, we decided that we were going to move in on that day because it seemed to be ideal. 50 years foundation in Tarrytown, and that we would start ours on the very same day, December the 8th. We did exactly what Mother Butler did at the first Marymount. We sang the Magnificat, and we carried in a little statue of Our Lady.
We had a friend come and teach us some Spanish so that we could register pupils, and we kind of memorized phrases so we could register our new pupils if they didn't speak English. We started with about 35 students and ended the year with about twice that many. People came, and next thing you know, we added a grade every year. And then we got to know the help in the estate next to us, and we thought their house would make a much nicer Marymount than the one we were renting. We got to know the people who owned it.
One afternoon when the Colonel was visiting, he suggested that we buy his house, which was right next door. But we had already seen his house, and we realized that it looked like a museum in a way, because he had bought William Randolph Hearst's collection of what he had not used at San Simeon. Sister Margaret Mary said, "Well, we can't buy your place because, first place, we can't afford it, and the second place, it's like a museum."
It was owned by Americans who really didn't want anything to happen to their lovely home, and they thought it would be nice if the nuns had it.
Anyway, we didn't think too much about it because it seemed out of, our budget for sure. After a few weeks, the Colonel must have been really thinking about that, and one day he suggested to me that I should call the provincial in New York and the provincial in California and ask them to come down and to see the situation and to talk with him about his offer. And he would pay their tickets, and if they would be willing to come down.
And we called Mother Gertrude and told her we thought we could buy their house. And she called the provincial in New York, who came in 3 days. They were down there to see what Sister Audrey and I were doing. And they made a great arrangement that they would buy this beautiful estate, which turned into Marymount, Cuernavaca. Sister Audrey and I went back for the 50th anniversary 2 years ago. It was wonderful. We saw many of the pupils we had started with who are now grandparents, but we still think of them as our early pupils.
So many of the students came back for the 50th Jubilee of the school. And many of them were the first students, the first 36 students. And I was especially happy to see them. I remembered everybody's name, all my past students, except one. And she was only there for about 6 months. But I was really surprised, you know. I thought I wouldn't remember them, but I did. I think God helped me.
Cuernavaca, which I think is my favorite spot. I loved it there.